Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome, a very warm welcome to all my fellow panelists, and very warm welcome to all the participants who have joined us for this session today on Decoding the Budget 2022, which was presented 3 days back by the Honorable Finance Minister, Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman. I want to set the expectations, I think, right for this session. There are a lot of budget analysts, there are a lot of economics experts who decode the budget. Then how is it here that we are, 6 people from the IT community trying to analyze or decode the budget? So yes, the perspective is very different. We are not going to give this an angle of an economist. We are here as business persons. We are here as business person in the technology space, the information technology space, to analyze, to decode how and what are the aspects of this budget which touches upon the technology space and through the technology space, the citizens. My name is Biren Shah. I'm from Adit Microsystems, Ahmedabad. I have with me Mr. L. Ashok from FutureNet, Chennai. Mr. Pranav Pandya from Dev Information Technology, Ahmedabad. Mr. Moin from Innovative Solutions, Surat. Mr. Paresh Shah from Allied Digital, Mumbai. And Mrs. Prathna Gupta from Cash Computers, New Delhi. So, with this, I would set the ball rolling. Before we get into discussion on, certain points in a little more detail, I would want each one of a very quick, one by one on how, if you had to rate this budget overall from a technology perspective. We are not rating the budget from various other parameters, but from a technology industry, from the information technology sector point of view, what would be your rating, out of 10 being the most outstanding, exceeding all our expectations and so on, and 0 being on the other extreme, and maybe a couple of important points about the budget that you think are very important announcements, and we should discuss them in a greater detail later. So maybe we can start with Ashok.
Thank you, Biren bhai.
Yep.
My audio is fine?
Absolutely.
Great, thank you. So my perspective, I would say that from the technology perspective, in the scale of 0 to 10, I would rate this somewhere around 4.5. This is firstly my view. Maybe that it is due to not having enough data, because the budget speech, this is one of the most crisp budget speech I've ever seen. So by the time we think the whole thing was over, and then I could download the budget speech, and it was making rounds in the WhatsApp, so I went through it. From there, there's a lot of intent for sunrise, so-called sunrise opportunities, where AI, drones, and so many other technology areas they were talking about, but details are not being given, not shared in that budget speech. So probably at this point in time, with a lack of data, I would say that it is, I would say about 40% is what I would rate at this point in time, because I don't know what else is there. So yeah, from the business perspective, I'll touch upon it a little later. But from the technology perspective, nothing much there to comment.
Okay, thanks so much, Ashok. Hopefully, by the end of this session, we will have some more data, thanks to the fellow panelists. And with that, I'll request Pranav bhai to give his rating and views.
In fact, Biren bhai, rather than rating it from 0 to 10, because as Ashok has rightly said, the further nuances or the further detailing would really help us, purely from the point of view of rating it vis-a-vis the technology sector is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing is very sure, and that is that the intent of government is very, very clear, and it has been right from, because I'm working with public sector also quite a bit. So considering that, and now even domestic sector is also being pushed in a way, the private sector, and is encouraged in a way by government to be part of this digital journey overall. So the sheer fact that the lady started in a way the first phrase of the first para of the budget using the word digitalization and the technology itself shows that the overall tenor and tone was very futuristic. Opportunity wise, Ashok, my dear friend, I would rate it as a extremely good budget for us as far as opportunity is concerned, because government is talking not only in terms of in fact, they are going to the details in terms of, say, drone as a service. Now, considering that as something which is being spoken in the budget speech itself is a great thing to be considered. And in the government itself's own acceptance of the fact that their own processes are also will be driven towards modernization, and they'll become very contemporary with the global world, because they are talking of the digital version of the RBI bank. So as digital rupees, that's what I was spoken about. So there are many such other further little nuances which has cropped up since last 2 days. And while reading Mint, the newspaper, as well as Times of India, I've come to know that opportunity-wise, we are, you may rate it, Biren, by to the level of around 8, if I have to put it this way. But in terms of the pure play technology business per se, yes, I agree with Ashok. We need to dwell upon the nuances of the budget, because how it helps us in terms of managing our business as a technology sector. In terms of opportunities, immense. Look at the way in which they have funded the infrastructure. Look at the way in which they have funded the cap part of it. When I say infrastructure, I'm not talking in terms of the own buildings, but the roads themselves. So, and look at the intent of agriculture, health, education, where they are all talking of digitalization as a backbone. So, government is going to push everyone in that direction.
Thank you so much, Pranabhai. We'll come back to you on certain specific points in this. Prashna ji, would like to hear your views on this. You're on mute, ma'am. You have to unmute.
As I heard Pranav and Ashok has, I think he is chartered accountant. Ashok, are you chartered accountant?
No, I'm a technologist.
Okay. So the way he has actually said that 4.5 marks to rank for this, and Pranav has said 8. I'm a little confused as what to say now, because as Pranav rightly said, that there would be humongous opportunities for all of us, because we being the technologist, I think in every digital transformation we play a role. We play a very, very big role. The only thing is that we need to transform ourselves. We have to actually think out of the box to do something, because government has all the intention to grow MSME sector. They are actually doing great job in digitalization. RBI, that he rightly said, that they are talking about digital currency. They are talking about, preparing more highways. They are talking about drone services everywhere and everything. If you talk about, I think government has all the intention to make our country digital, and we have been working with all the ministries where they are talking about safe cities, smart cities, everything. Means government has the intention that the way they have started toilet mission. After that, they realized that before that we require water, right? Definitely, there was some gap in planning last year or last year, but we all learned. It will take some, good time, means 5 years, 10 years, to actually transform the whole country. We have started talking about AI, ML, virtual reality, all these things, it will take shape. Now cloud has become so mature. We had started talking 15 years back about it. So when we start talking about all these services, I think we are 40%, 30%, I could see that all our technology leaders who are in the industry, they have started talking on applications, new solutions, new things, data center initiatives by government, state data center initiatives, cyber security, GDPR, all these things, everywhere technology is involved. So it is for us to transform ourselves and to gear up to do better. I think 8 number I also can give to this budget.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Partha. Paresh?
Yeah. So I would say in the last 3 years, this has been the most technology interesting budget that I say. Very, very innovative. The government has clearly shown intentions of future planning in the budget, because that's very important. And they've addressed these issues related to things very, very well, right from the infrastructure to digitalizations. When you say digitalization of processes, government processes, as well as applications all the way up. So from 5G to broadband internet all the way to applications. So the guidelines that are given, and smart education, digital university, talking about healthcare, these are both addressing infrastructure as well as talking about how they will kind of help in wearable devices, MSME inclusion. So it's a very digitally inclusive, as well as very comprehensive from the guidelines point of view. Obviously, the details will come, and it is for us kind of, as somebody mentioned, we have to transform ourselves. So I say it is extremely a positive budget from the technology point of view. If we have to kind of take big steps, this is the time where every opportunity can be looked into very seriously, right from infrastructure, road transportation, agriculture, logistics. It's covering very good broad domains where because the government is clearly seeing technology is the enabler for all that. And right up to banking and talking about digital currency, it shows a very clear perspective. So I rate it 8 or even 9, I would say. Just small missing points here and there, but pretty much I rate it very high.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Paresh. Yes, Moin. Your perspective is.
Thanks, Biren. I see it as a very promising budget, to be frank with you. Actually, our Honorable Finance Minister has given futuristic budget, which I feel, if implemented as per roadmap which they plan, shall take our country amongst top economies of the world. So, in the budget 2022, government plans to reimagine our cities as centers for sustainable living. Right, urbanization is happening in a big way, and they have to plan. The good part was, ma'am took digitalization as a word for 36 times in the entire speech. That itself shows the commitment and promises which they are talking about to citizens of India. I think it's going to give a good big push. As you know, I mean, from the we are into smart city, smart city projects and all. And I see a big push. We have seen it in past, and we see a big push in coming times.
I'll come back to you on that for sure, Moin. Thank you so much. I have a couple of points here, and I think it's important that the rating overall and rating for technology perspective. This is what Ashok was trying to differentiate, that the overall budget is different. Here, our discussion is specific to the technology space. Intent, several of you mentioned good intent, but I must emphasize that in my view, in my living history, I have never seen any government coming with a bad intent. The government is always there for good intent. It is really important that the intent translates into effective action on the ground, and that is a bigger challenge, and I think government knows that much more than us, so certainly we do that. I have a few points where I would want your valuable inputs. We talk about technology, the word itself immediately kind of raises an elitist kind of a view in a lot of common citizens. So I want to start this discussion very different. We talk about our country being a country of farmers, right? The 60 to 70% farming community. And here there is a very clear announcement which Pranabhai touched upon in his initial brief discussion about the usage of drones in the farming sector. I think that's a very interesting budgetary announcement. I'm not going to details exactly what kind of whether there is some financial support laid out in this provision. But Pranabhai, would you explain to all our participants how this is important, how this helps the technology business, how this helps the farmers, which is 2/3 of our citizens, and therefore how the entire country benefits with this.
Sure, Biren bhai. So let me first make things very clear that for us as technology players also, this is going to be a big learning curve, because sitting in a well-decorated office and talking about farming is a different story altogether when you actually go there in the farm and you see how things translates. Having said that, there are many adventurous and many spirited startups, and they have come up with superb out-of-the-box ideas, working with the farmers, working with progressive farmers, working with in fact among the farming class within our own state, Biren bhai, Gujarat, we have seen that the second generation are not only educated, but they're educated particularly in terms of the agriculture and science itself. So those are the kind of people with whom I have seen startups working very closely. And now with this intent and the variety of, because as Ashok rightly said, over the period we'll be hearing lots of rollouts from the government pertaining to these intents that it is categorically mentioned in its budget. That's where the company like us, an established player, with its own muscles of software development team or the technology mentors, with the startup on one side, will combine together their forces and work with the farmers. And the type of precision farming that we'll be going for will naturally make them earn their yield far more better than what they do right now. And there were certain examples which we have seen by certain startups where undue use of pesticides were prevented, where categorically before the entire crop was kind of ruined, they were able to judge and make out the particular disease, and they were able to take care of it with the help of drone simultaneously. In fact, precision cameras were used. They are being attached with the tractors now, which goes along, and they can make out whether a particular sector of the farm is going in a bad way or not. So these are the kind of work which is already being done. And I'm sure my friend Moin would be aware, because he deals in data center kind of scenario quite a lot. But huge amount of computing powers are at play in terms of establishing and studying the past weather pattern with the future data that is coming from the satellite. And even they are also coming up with the AI and the ML part, as the Madam Pratna ji was mentioning. It takes care of the situation where it advises farmer of what to grow and when to grow and how to grow. So, and to be fair with the agriculture universities themselves, they are also very futuristic. They are coming forward, Biren bhai, when, as you rightly said, how does it actually translate into the action, the actual in the play. So these are the people who actually come forward, they talk to us, they are part of us, and they reach out to us. So it's a long drawn process. We have started it. It's going to take some time. And we have to be very patient. Come on. We are dealing with a mass, as you rightly said, considering technology as some kind of an alien entity which is not tangible. And therefore, we need to make people understand once they see the results. So with lots of patience and with superb intent, which government is trying to portray here, and we all acting as an enabler, probably this is going to make a far more futuristic scenario than we, as of now today, comprehend. And we'll be, I'm sure India is going to do good. I'm sure about that.
Thank you so much.
With incredible youngsters at play.
Thank you so much.
I'm really proud of that. Thank you.
I hope this use of technology in the farming space would help improve many areas, including, I think, the supply chain. Of course, the yield, of course, is the first major, requirement.
Logistics and supply chain also.
Yeah, logistics, supply chain, and hopefully, therefore, the farm inflation, that matters to all the consumers.
Correct.
130 crores can be, brought under, almost a flattening kind of a curve, something that developed nations have as an advantage. The basics of the life, the food and the, basic beverages are always available at a, fairly economical price. And we hope that it will lead us into that direction. Moving on to the next point, I would request one of you, maybe Paresh, if you would like to take this, or Pratna ji, whoever. There is an announcement about data centers, energy storage systems to be given infrastructure status. So what are the implications overall, and what are the benefits to us as the technology business entities?
Viren bhai, just one point. It is an industry status they have been given. So that translates into a different category altogether.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd like just give a quick answer to that. It's I think a huge boost. We see that everything is getting into cloud, and unfortunately we are dependent on Amazons and Azures all the time, and this is giving homegrown data centers a huge advantage. There is also provisioning for the energy management along with that. So I see, and giving that as a more focus as a utility industry, it is showing a far-fetched thought that all this infrastructure is very key to build applications and make it very affordable, making local data centers also a viable solution, and not depending on too much on these foreign data centers. I mean, foreign companies who though have data centers in India, still the revenue is being impacted. So I think it's a very good boost, and I see it's one of the very positive things for a lot of our local data center companies to take advantage of that and really carve out as an industry. It will have a lot of incentives. So I see this as a very big positive.
Oh, thank you so much, Parsh. Anyone else would like to add to that? Anyone?
Yeah, I would like to add on this that all the data center activities, it is also for our growth, where cyber security portfolio will also be taking a very big role in this, and all those companies who are working on cyber security area, those will also be growing in this because India is talking about all the data should reside in country only. And that is why there is a huge investment for government side as well as MNCs as well as all the telecom companies where they are already talking on data, massive data, and this is going to be and this is the only way to transform our country. That is why this has been given as a name as infrastructure or industry, because as 5G is going to come in very soon, and we all are waiting for that spectrum to be, that reverse auction and all. I'm 100% sure that this 2022-23 would be a great year for all of us. And we all have to, that is what I was mentioning, that we have to transform ourselves, because digital transformation will include all those drone services, applications, security, analytics will play a very big role, because I was talking to customers, the government clients, where they're talking about if a car is being theft, and if somebody can figure out that a car is in Bangalore and if it is from Delhi, then Delhi should get the alert that there is a car. You can even imagine the kind of analytics the Ministry of Home Affairs or any for that matter any ministry they are talking on. Analytics will have a very big role, including this data center as well as command and control center, monitoring system. That is why they have introduced drone for sectors, and this will not be only for farmers. Farmers they are introducing because there would be so many, farmers at remote locations, and it is very difficult for us to go there. That is why they have introduced farmers so that accessibility, ease of doing business should be good. So that is what I think. I think it's a great because connecting with each other and making networking is a key for everybody's business, I think, and that will grow if we are networked.
So just want to add what I said. Today the power of data computing, all is like everybody is hungry about that, and this extra support to the data center is going to add a huge value, because I think the government has very much looked the digital, the IT as the infrastructure as very key here component, and it has touched all the areas of digitization, from the infra point of view. So they have connected data centers, they have talked about 5G, so they have talked about broadband internet availability in rural areas. So they are seeing that, there are requirements that the data center technology needs to be boosted, because everything, we can't just remain into kind of a very fixed silo. So it is a huge promotion to scale infrastructure. So that's also something that I would
like to actually, we are very confused where to start, where to grow, whether we should take cyber security, we should take data center, we should take AI, ML and analytics. It is difficult because everywhere there is a growth. Everywhere you have to just take one segment, and then everywhere there are multiple opportunities to do.
We'll come back to that. It's good to have opportunities. Better to have a problem of plenties rather than a problem of demand scarcity. So that's wonderful, and I'm happy that both of you also have touched upon one of the other initiatives, 5G rollout, which is obviously a telecom and affects the technology space equally, but essentially, but it's an important point you touched upon. The way I look at it is, it's like construction and automobile kind of industries, how they have a huge impact, multiplier effect on the various core sectors like cement, steel, and labor, and everybody inputs. I think, in my mind, the data center industry, it would generate demand probably for a large number of supplies of our industry technology, whether it is hardware or networking or cables or the software side. We talk about the security or storage, everywhere. So I think in that sense, it's a core kind of a thing which should have a good impact on demand generation. And one of the points you mentioned, but I think I would like to hear a little more. If Ashok can talk about, there is an announcement about rolling out the broadband on large scale in the broadband and mobile internet in rural areas. I'm not sure whether there is enough fine print on that, but if there is some view, you can inform our audience on this aspect. It'll be nice.
Good, Viren bhai. So I think I would like to restate myself in terms of the rating what I was talking about. I've heard all the panelists here. I'm dividing my opinion into two. One is budget as budget, which is overall perspective. Budget as technology, from a technology perspective. So from a technology perspective, I hold my comments to the 4.5. But budget when you're going to be looking at it as a budget holistically, I find this is a very progressive budget. This is putting all the basic, what is required, so-called fundamentals in the country for expansion. This talks about the fundamental 7 pillars, which is going to be boosting the economy of the country, which is beautifully narrated. One of the leg is what this IT and communication, and where they're talking about 5G rollout, broadband rollout, and all that, which is primarily the infrastructure what you need for you to get onto drone as services, and you get onto other technology as services. So which is going to come for you to tomorrow even to fly a drone remotely, and you want to do a remote irrigation management. So many other opportunities are there. For that, first of all, the base have to be there. So I think this budget is focusing more in terms of putting the base and the fundamentals in place, which probably we should have done long time back, and it's just focusing now at this point in time to primarily to strengthen that aspect of it, where the huge amount of the money is getting invested in terms of building the roads to digital highways to all those areas.
And
so
optical
for us,
fiber also, Ashok, optical fiber, they are laying by 2025, the entire country will have optical fiber.
Yes. They were also talking about the backward districts of 116, out of which 96 they were able to bring bring lot more activity in that place to bring them as no longer a backward district. So all that is great vision, and as a country, if you see, that's a great budget. But from a perspective of technology, as I told in the beginning, if some more details can be given, okay, and what government is going to do in terms to bring the technology to use. For example, drones as service. If I'm going to be getting into that business as a drones as service, am I going to get anything support from the government? If data center is classified as infrastructure and the industry, what is in it for me? As a businessman, the one thing which I will always look forward is, what is it in it for me to make this life easier? You all know, all of us are entrepreneurs here, how difficult to run a business in this country. We know that. So many difficulties we go through, and I mean, we don't need to go, and it's part and parcel of our job. So here we are trying to see how are they going to make the life easier in terms to make it thing, and whether there's going to be a better GST rollout on the classified items of product and services, or on the drones and artificial intelligence, they are going to give certain support to the thing. All this is on us to wait and see. Number two, most of us are primarily from a tier 2 platform or a tier 3 platform in terms of the positioning and the technology platforms. Most of this larger infrastructure and the thing is going to happen with the larger companies, okay, which invariably they are going to be coming and bidding and then working with onto it in terms of smart cities or any of the larger projects. So how are they going to be plugging in the so-called SME, which is backbone of this country? How are they going to get hooked on to such thing, or are we going to be there in the race or not? It's something where government is going to intervene in terms of governance to ensure that the ecosystem is not disturbed. So these are all the few things which I was probably expecting in the budget to say how the seamless, the connect between the tier 2, tier 1 platforms. For example, I would quote Vedanta as an example. Vedanta is doing an excellent job in terms of promote the startup ecosystem, and they also support the SME thing. So that's the initiative as a corporate. Okay, there is certainly government has put certain influence, but is it going to be industries, large industries going to be encouraged to deal with SMEs? Is public sectors going to be encouraged to work with SMEs? Is there going to be a special privileges given to them because of the thing? Of course, they can do a rating and all that. Are they going to get a better privileges in terms of the payment? Today, I deal with the public sector. The payment on certain public sectors are going to be a longer time, and they are not even getting into the exchange and discounting the bill. They had agreed to discount the bill. One of the large public sectors, they're not even getting onto the thing to discount the bills. So these are all the issues which will help the SMEs like us, which is primarily a tier 2, tier 3, to make competitive. If even a data center, like we run a data center here in Chennai in our office, to make it competitive, how are we going to be thriving here to ensure that what kind of a support brass tack we are going to get is something, maybe it's a short budget, which she's setting a first time a tone in the thing, saying that I'm not here to come and talk all the policies in the parliament session. I'm just going to come in a high level guideline, and the later things would follow. So I'm waiting and watching for those details to come in for me to react. Then probably my rating from 4.5 may jump to 8.5, or even a 9. But till then, I would like to wait and see how this is going to get translated into reality. Is something wait and see. But on the country perspective, I'm sure that this government has the intention and the wherewithal to get the infrastructure in place. If they talk about a high-speed train, it will happen. If they talk about the fiber, it will happen. If they talk about the linking of waters, it will happen, because they got a credibility of delivering results in the past. So that I know second thinking on it. But this context of this panel discussion, which is primarily a technology focused tier 2, tier 3, I reserve my comments.
I am extremely thankful to you, Ashok, for bringing the clarity to this discussion, and I must state that in the past, several initiatives which happened at national level, in fact, took away, forget about giving, but in fact, it took away business from the local players, because it got centralized into one or two large entities, whether it's you talk about passport services, or whether you talk about GST services. So I think I want to bring that focus back, as Ashok mentioned. We are not economists, rating the budget on what it is going to do overall. What is important for us, that as IT business promoters, how this is going to, how this is impacting us and through us, several lives.
So Biren Bhai, that's where I was trying to say that it is the opportunity which is going to translate into more business, no doubt about that.
Pranav bhai, I need to, we are in a bit of a sort of
okay,
time.
Okay.
I'm going to jump from the rural now to the city side, and I would request Moin, who has been working a lot on the smart cities side. Moin, what are the announcements related to smart city initiatives, and what kind of budgetary support is given? Because in the earlier budgets, smart cities was a big subject, and but I'm not sure. I'm not such a detail. But I would request you: is there anything in this budget for the smart city initiatives?
So, Biren, thanks, Biren bhai. What I want to give you is a background of how this government started in 2014. So our experience has been very good while working with some of the smart city projects jointly with our partners. So we must appreciate our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi for his visionary plans of smart cities way back in 2014. Okay. While the urbanization had just started, our country was definitely among the first to adopt this sustainable smart cities mission, which they planned that point of time to address key urban issues and empower and facilitate citizens. Okay, I'll just explain you about. I'll just tell you about what happened in those 5-7 years. Okay, some of the great IT implementations we have seen under smart city missions. One of them was deployment of public safety solutions while empowering our law and order agencies across country. So benefits were reduction of crime rates in urban area by 25 to 36%. That is the data, right? So that's the data, right? Which citizens won't realize unless they get into some trouble, right? It's a major deterrent effect actually across wherever the smart cities have been deployed. Technology also helped law and order agency to detect and nab criminals in shortest span of time. Some of the cities have already achieved crime detection ratio as high as 82%, which is commendable.
Absolutely.
So using technology, which was a smart city mission, right? Some of the other areas where they deployed and some of the cities have seen a lot of benefits is and where we have worked together with them was like solid waste management. So basically, the urban authorities it helped urban authorities to become more efficient by monitoring online status of solid waste collection, solve citizen complaints, grievances in much faster way, right? Respond in much faster way. Some of the other spaces where world is still moving, or the developing countries are still moving, is in a multimodal transport, intelligent transport system, deployment of intelligent transport system, right? So we have witnessed a good success of smart city mission implementation, which has achieved citizen satisfaction and happiness index. So that's the thing. Honorable Finance Minister has talked about unconventional ways of deploying smart cities amongst tier 3 and tier 2 and tier 3 cities now. So that's a good thing. So besides nurturing all mega cities, they are talking of nurturing these tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Yes, major focus is going to be on some of the public transport in urban areas, as including tier 2, tier 3 cities, whereby implementation of green tech and governance solutions with zero fossil fuel policy and electric vehicles. So that's going to give a big push to small and medium industry.
Any specific inputs on the allocations? Have they been increased or any
No, so
mention
those
of
details
that?
are yet to come. Those details are yet to come. But we are quite optimistic.
Okay.
We're quite, bullish and optimistic the way, they are pumping this economy.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Moin. We have about 15 minutes where at least there are two very, very important aspects, 3 aspects that I want to touch upon. The first one, before I go to the other 2 aspects, which are interaction of technology with some of the other areas such as education and health. So we'll come to that. But first one I have is we are talking so much digital, right? Everywhere digital. Data centers at national levels, a lot of public data, being flying from here, there, everywhere. Does this concern us in terms of security, cyber security? Are there any specific mentions about cyber security with this digital initiative of the government? Anything about that? Paresh, can you help us there? You are on mute probably, Paresh.
Yeah. So we work a lot on cybersecurity globally. So I see that if I have to give 10 number, I see one number which is missing is mainly cybersecurity, because there's so much of digitalization, and the country also has to start thinking about cybersecurity very seriously. If you look at some statistics, right from the IT ware perspective, news, huge boost into cybersecurity, huge issues, even Indian companies getting hacked. When we are talking about cyber payments, transactions, there's not a serious mention on budget on the cybersecurity plans from the government point of view, which is what I see is a missing thread, very important thread. And I think it's going to be a big role. Obviously, the industry is going to go in itself. Everybody is going to take care. But there is already a discussion, standardization planning in play. I think on 26th January also, there was a small announcement on bringing a simpler GDPR compliance for the country, digital privacy. India is already, the government is already thinking on it, okay? And that is, regulation is already coming in place. Already the first draft is there. Mm-hmm. But there was no announcements as such on that budget. That is the missing piece, I would say, because it is a horizontal technology and it has to be in place for all this digitalization. Whether you talk about agriculture or healthcare, whether you talk about privacy or digital identity management threats, or you're talking about fraud management, all these aspects will come into place. So I see that as a missing link. But most important, I would say, they could have emphasized a bit on that in terms of their plans on how to kind of support cybersecurity or initiatives from the government point of view in standardizing this.
Thank you so much, Paresh. I hope that probably, I'm hoping that cybersecurity was specifically not mentioned more as a constraint of the length of speech, and maybe it was treated as a subset of digital. I hope so, But yes, it is a very crucial
factor.
It is a
staple product. It will come by default. There is a huge growth in cybersecurity, and it will come as a staple product in all data center, everywhere, wherever they are doing anything.
It's part of infra. Agreed.
It is part of infra. It has to come as a staple product. And the way SD-WAN, you see the growth of all security companies within 2 years. You see the humongous growth in all the companies. You have seen how many security companies have already come in India. And many Make in India products are also available. There is a huge market in cybersecurity right now.
Indeed, sure.
The government is already.
It's a world's problem. It's not only India's problem. It's world's problem.
It is a global thing. Yes. Yes, Mohin. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, government has already done huge investments when they were deploying smart cities. Okay. Mm-hmm. So under the smart cities, they have already done a citywide data centers, cyber security for the city, right? Because most of the services they are offering are from for the citizens, right? So they have already invested huge in terms of cyber security in last 5 years in every city.
Thank you so much. I would now like to, go a little bit on the financial, and technology intersection. So there are 2 points, and Ashok, I would request you to, educate us on this. One is there is an announcement of, 75 digital banking units by the existing banking organizations in 75 districts. And another thing that, as you mentioned, ultimately, most of us are on the MSME or, tier 2, tier 3 business organizations. So the emergency credit line guarantee scheme, which, during the pandemic, I think, it came into existence, and there is an announcement of extension and some enhancement. Would you let us, have your views on this and the impact on this and what could have been done?
Sure. There are 2 aspects to it. One is this emergency credit relief to the MSMEs, which is well executed, I would say. I think most of us would have got benefited during this COVID, and it was well done and well executed. There is another scheme, which is credit guarantee scheme for primarily small and medium companies for availing the bank facility without a collateral. Up to 2 crore, government gives the bond and then you can give. That is something no bank is touching at this point in time. It is still, I would say, by and large, it's in the paper, but it is not coming forward. They still insist on giving a collateral, and they don't consider the credit guarantee bond from the central government as a collateral. So they keep insisting. So that is actually going to certainly impact a set of people who are neither a startup nor the thing, like typically most of us, I would say, an ISODA community or thing. So where we would look for either a temporary increase or what, at that credit guarantee scheme, there has to be a push from RBI and the Ministry of Finance on the banks to see how are they going to support the existing clients for either for an enhancement or for a new project based on the credit guarantee availability from the government. That's something I think that the implementation, certainly it's been there for a long time, but then I would feel that it is not getting implemented. The other aspect of it, the digital banking, and they're talking about digital currencies and all those things which comes in, which is a very good initiative, because that is something which is going to play a big role in stimulating the economy in the country. And that I find that it is a pretty good thing. There is a big opportunity for companies like us. One has to wait and see how this is actually getting translated and what role we can go and play there is something which we need to upskill ourselves and then wait and watch to see whether those things are restricted only to Infosys and Cognizant of the world, or it's available for Aditi Systems and FutureNet and Dev IT. It's something which we'll have to wait and see when it is actually coming to a rollout and then the policy getting defined there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ashok. Yes, I really appreciate it. And you made a right point. If the credit guarantee scheme is largely on paper, I think it is important that organizations such as ISODA and even our media friends like the Tech Plus Media, they help us message this effectively to the finance minister and other officers so that, the implementation can improve to benefit all of us. Coming to a very important other aspect, often some of you mentioned, Pratnaji in particular, about the huge opportunity and the need for us to transform. Isn't this all leading us to availability of skilled resources in the technology space? And how does the announcement of a digital university and several other points that the Honorable Finance Minister mentioned during the budget speech? Pratnaji, would you like to take that?
Yeah, this is my favorite subject actually.
But we do have time limitation, mind you.
No, I know that. That is why we can talk for 2 minutes.
Please go on.
Actually, unemployment, this digital university, and this will not going to help country. The industry has to come forward. They have to, industry and government, and we can't do it alone because it's a huge subject, right? It's a very big problem of the country, unemployment. But I tell you, you also know it and you will agree to this, that there is a huge gap in demand and supply. is not that opportunities are not there. It is that jobs are not there. Right now, if you see all skilled people, they are getting 70% hike in the salaries. At least of the country is 23% right now in IT industry. But people who are in tier 2, tier 3 cities, or in B level, C level colleges, they are doing or anything. Actually, what we are doing, we are upskilling the skilled people. We are not taking care of the people who are actually sitting somewhere, and we can actually, it's a very big resource pool for us. But industry and government, they have to tie up, they have to take a roadmap of 5 years or 7 years. They should have the plan and what is required. Safe cities, there would be multiple safe cities, there would be multiple smart cities. And if you talk about simple router configuration, how many people you will get in Delhi or any metro cities, right? If I require 2,000 people, you will not get, because we are not upskilling people to graduate. We have to go forward. We have to collaborate with all engineering colleges, industry and government. We have to tell this is our roadmap. Digitalization roadmap is this. We need this skilled people, and then we have to tie up, and accordingly we have to build a skill there. And trust me, this unemployment word will go away somewhere, because there will be huge opportunities for all fresher graduates also. But only it is possible when industry and government, they should collaborate with all the colleges, and they should start upskilling. What is required should
train the teachers, right?
Train the teachers, plus teachers should also know that, okay, and they should also come with some incentive scheme, the colleges, that teachers should make skilled people in this area so that they can get the job immediately. I think that thing is missing in engineering colleges. And if we can introduce some fast track course or something like that, and that should also be governed by industry and government, so that these are the things where we need to upskill people. So that is what is missing. And if we actually address that problem, we will not have unemployment issue in our country.
Thank you so much. One other equally important aspect of living, health. And of course, we have very limited time. One minute is, I want somebody to talk about. There is a digital health ecosystem that Mrs. Sitharaman talked about. Paresh, any quick input on that, please? You are on mute again.
Yeah, so I think they have emphasized health also in all the areas, right from the infrastructure in terms of setting up patient digital records, which has been a kind of a basic fundamental framework that we require in healthcare today that is missing. Making sure our medical data is universally available across different hospitals and doctors across the country. So that very important step is being taken in there. On the other side, they have emphasized also on wearables and those medical devices, where they are encouraging MSMEs to develop that indigenously out of India and making sure that is getting available. So it is promoting the MSME. I think it is connecting all kinds of healthcare, right from the end level in terms of wearables to the infrastructure of medical records. And obviously 5G is going to translate telemedicine in a different direction. So I see it's pretty much across the game, the thought process is there in healthcare, which they want to address in all areas.
Thank you so much, Paresh. Yes, I think the pandemic showed the value of health exchanges, and I hope government would take big initiatives in that direction, so that next time I hope it never happens anything like that again. But in case something happens even on a smaller scale, we are much better prepared with records, data, and quicker action. We would now be rounding up with one final this thing to honor the timeline. From each one of you, I would want one point that you wish was there in this budget, because if it is not there in this budget, fine, at least we can take that as a wish list for the next budget. But one point that you thought is very important and that should have been a part of this budget. Ashok?
Yes, sir. So I primarily would wish and was looking for a reformation of a labor laws. That's one thing which I don't know whether that's part of the budget, first of all, but then the whole country can progress in terms of the thing. The IT as a segment, we still come under industrial or a shop and establishment act, which is very, very different than the thing. And today we set the value for the whole world on IT. So IT needs a different thing. A PSES AI and then going back to the industry laws is not going to work for us. I feel that it is not touched upon.
Thank you so much. Pranav, very quick, please. Now, 1 minute left for all of us.
He has conveyed it, Biren Bhai.
All right.
The labor law.
All right. Thank you so much.
Ditto, same feeling.
Paresh.
Yeah, I would like to highlight on GST something different, where probably in technology services, if they would have considered something beneficial, in a way it will impact a big way to promote technology acceleration for taking up by the other industries. So
for my, me, I think the overall GST rate itself is high. So a lot of different interest groups will always go and present that our GST rate should be lower. So I believe a solution is to have lower GST slabs. 18% that currently we are doing, I think, is extremely high, and particularly if you are the retail consumer buying, ultimately you are the last person paying. Suddenly you realize that 18% is a huge amount, and I think that's something.
It's a technology enabler now, and we need to make sure that is a part of
Yes.
basic utility service.
Yeah, thank you. Rasnaji?
Same, I think Ashok has touched a very valid this thing.
Okay.
We all
Thank you so much. Yeah.
having this problem with labor law.
Yes.
Yeah, for the export services businesses, as the services revenues have become a big share now in our country. It's almost 53%. They should have given some benefits in terms of on the either we can get into the special economic zones or that kind of thing and give us a benefit of income tax.
Thank you so much. So with this, we come to the end of this session. I express sincere thanks to all my fellow panelists. I think most of you have shown up to be quite sharp economists, although in the outline I mentioned that we are going to talk about as channel business promoters. But I think you have given us an excellent perspective. I also thank the Tech Plus Media for organizing this very quickly. And I thank all the participants and even later viewers to view this discussion and give us the feedback. So thank you very much, everyone. Please continue to take care.
Thank you.
As we ride out, hopefully, the final phase of the pandemic.